And we're live. Hello, everybody. I'm here with
Hello.
Constantine and Gik. Gik is silent. Anyways, so there's one topic that I want to talk about briefly, while we wait for people to join the stream, and that is the issue of Skywatch. Um, Skywatch is a provider of high resolution imagery. You can buy 50 centimeter resolution, 1 meter, 70 centimeters, 3 meters, 10 meters, all the meters. And they offered it for a mediocre price, not a great price, not gonna lie. The service wasn't great, but it was the only option a lot of us had to buy imagery. And by a lot of us, I mean North America, especially America, and other countries too. It was really the only option. Like in Japan, it was the only option, I believe, as well. So, and there are other countries too where you had to buy your satellite imagery on Skywatch. Yesterday, I could not log into Skywatch anymore. And I figured, I don't know, dude, like maybe there's a technical problem. I waited till today. I tried again, didn't work. Reset my password, didn't work. And then I emailed them, and they responded to me saying that I can't log in anymore because my region is banned. In other words, the United States is banned from Skywatch. And since then, I've learned other countries are also banned from Skywatch. It's not just America. I'm not sure exactly which countries are banned. And I know some Americans have not been banned yet, but I imagine they will be. And it's very frustrating because this was the only option we had to get good imagery. There are other choices that are wildly more expensive, minimum 2.5 times the price. And Skywatch was already very expensive. But dude, it's really gutting. I know this is going to be a really serious blow to OSINT, around the world, really, and this could spread. I don't know which countries will end up getting banned, but banning the United States and banning countries in Asia, not looking good. This is going to really seriously cripple our ability to do satellite-based intelligence work on any reasonable scale. It's very depressing.
Andrew, isn't Skywatch Canadian?
It is Canadian.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's Canadian. There are other companies that could, in theory, replace Skywatch, but it seems fishy. The way this all happened, I don't think Skywatch would willingly let go of the American market. Like, it's a weird business decision. It kind of feels more like someone forced them to do this. Like, did the United States basically kick them out? I don't know. It's very weird. It's all very weird, and it's upsetting to me because there is Apollo is another service that we can buy satellite images from, and America is not banned from there. But Apollo is about 2.5 times the price of Skywatch. And the reason I say that is that Skywatch cost. I buy 50 centimeter resolution. That's what I prefer. On Skywatch, 50 centimeter resolution is $20 per kilometer, and on Apollo, I think it's $22.50 per kilometer. And on Skywatch, there's a minimum buy of 5 square kilometers, so you basically had to pay $100 to get an image. And on Apollo, the minimum buy is 25 square kilometers. So you have to buy 2.5 times as much, and it is also more expensive per unit. So it's more than 2.5 times the price. I've never bought more than like 7 at a time. I did buy 13 one time, but well, I bought 6 and then bought 7 more of the same area. I could have bought all 13 at once. But like 13 is the biggest I've ever bought. I've never even considered buying 25. 25 is a really big area. It's really big, and that is going to be very expensive at 2250 per kilometer. So this is going to be a big blow. Like if when you see, for example, the people who are looking at Russia counting how many vehicles they've lost, like this is going to be a blow to that. When you look at the people who are researching, like the drone attacks in Russia, doing like the battle, like the damage assessment after after the fact, it's going to damage that. All the people who have been looking at the damage in Crimea, etc., all of that is going to be hindered. This is going to be like it's a really big blow across the board to just the OSINT community in general, and of course, not just involving this war; it's involving literally everything on Earth. So everything is going to suffer now, and it's just disappointing. So yeah, that's just one issue to knock off. Um, I don't know, should I go to the next issue now, Kick?
Yeah, I got myself a drink for today's stream because I think we will need it.
Speaking of drinks, our work has been quoted in several publications recently, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I mean, maybe just as an explainer, they've been quoted basically in relation to the FPV drone tracking, which we do. I think it's great. There's a lot of attention on that. And I mean, in the last week, we have seen that several decisions have been made also in the Ukrainian government to make those drone units more official and so on, to basically dedicate or with dedicated functions to allow for governmental spendings and so on. So I think the entire work which we were doing in the last couple of weeks definitely already has shown some results there, and now basically seeing those publications also quoting the data is the icing on the cake to me, to be honest.
Yeah, and yeah, so they're quoting both our data on FPV drones and our data on losses, which is just interesting. Of course, a lot of the losses we see are from FPV drones. Usually, the FPV drone is finishing off a vehicle. I've been really trying to take note of that in the logs, like very explicitly saying this vehicle was abandoned and then hit by an FPV drone. I don't know if people read that and care. I think people just see FPV drone, that's all they care about.
Yeah. The only worry I really have is that more and more people will release those videos now.
Yeah, we are seeing more videos now, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, in the recent weeks, I feel like I have probably seen like 80% of the content which I've seen is probably FPV drones, and the rest is I don't know if anyone is still fighting on a normal war.
There's just drones now. Like the other day, we had 284 videos or video clips or whatever, however you want to call it. We had 284, and like 215 of them were drones.
Yeah, it's massive, and
over half of them were Ukrainian drones. I think it was like 230 or 240 of them were Ukrainian, and like 80 Russian.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of caveats there, in my opinion, because I still find new channels, especially Russian channels, which release a lot of FPV drone videos, which I had not, known before. So it might be that the more I find, the more data gets actually collected from the Russian side.
It's probably true in both ways, though. We're going to keep finding more FPV drones too, because Ukraine is making more FPV drone groups, and they're pledging to make even more. So it's on both sides. I feel like we are definitely missing a lot, but I mean, we're trying. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to actually see if I can pull some statistics on that myself was to see how many of the FPV drones we are actually able to geolocate, because I assume that the ratio is rather something, like 30-40%. What do you think?
Okay, so there was a point when I calculated this and it was like 60%. I was like, I didn't think it would be that high. But since then, it's definitely gone very significantly down. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 30%. There's there are times when we have a video that has 15, 20 drone attacks in it and we can't find any of them. Or sometimes we probably could find them, we just don't have time. That's actually probably true a lot of the time. like last night, there was one video that I knew I could find, but I was just too tired and just went to sleep. So I would imagine it's around 30% that we're finding.
Yeah, and
we need more people, honestly. We just need more people.
Yeah, definitely. What I find most annoying is if I know exactly where that is in terms of, it's in that forest, but I can't geolocate it because, there's no way to say which tree was it. So you can't put any coordinates there, but you still know more or less a square kilometer of region where it was in.
Yeah, you should probably just put that in,
Yeah, that's something I had in mind. Maybe we need to find a solution for that, such that the heat maps are more reliable.
Should I get a new color? So gold. Gold is something that we find. White is something that we don't find. Maybe there'd be another color for it. It's it's around there.
Yeah, or we put something like assumed location. I did that today.
Yeah. Anyways, I do want to say that it was Konstantine's idea for us for me to publish the vehicle losses every day. So if you like them or dislike them, it's entirely Konstantine's fault.
The question is, do you still like Konstantin?
Well, I mean, he has taken about 4 hours of my day away.
That's what I thought.
Well, how did for the spreadsheet?
Yeah, you make me. I used to just put tank, but because of you, now I have to identify the tank.
Well, now you're like new Oryx. You're the only guy that keeps the track of it.
There's other people.
Huh?
There's others.
Yeah, there's still war spotting.
I don't think others are doing it as well as you, as consistently. And those spreadsheets, they look really nice and structured. So I think you're the only one who is doing that this way. So maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I did not, it's not like I'm monitoring every OSINT account, but I think what you're doing is pretty good. And I think you're doing it better and a more concise way, I would say.
Maybe.
I think that others are doing a good job. And I know that, as an example, Lost War is also tracking a lot of channels to see new losses and so on. But still, the more eyes are looking at content, the better. Sometimes we get more or less aware of a loss because of someone else releasing it, like Lost War, or sometimes they might also find a loss because of us.
It definitely
it's the way it is.
It's definitely going back and forth.
Yeah, and one thing which I can definitely say is I will never look at TikTok to find a loss, and that's something where we completely rely on other sources.
Yeah, we'll look at TikTok. We don't really look at VK either. VK is just, man, that is a pit. It's a time sink to get into VK that I am not willing to. Yeah, it's definitely, we're all sharing. We're all kind of like working together at the end of the day. We're kind of independent in that we kind of put everything that we see into it. But we're also working together in that we see things because of them. And then afterwards, after we compile our lists, we compare the lists. So it's like, it's a teamwork all around, really. Anyways, we have several other topics. I don't know. Do you want to talk about the Putin interview for a second? Because I think it's really funny.
Yeah, I think Konstantin should talk about that because to be honest, I didn't watch it. I only saw the memes. Maybe Konstantin, you wanna?
Memes summarize it. Like when I was watching it, man, it's just too much. There is this meme where the Tucker Carlson tries to run away. And like there is a Russian soldier saying, "No, you sit and listen to the Dutch." Dutch of Lithuania history from 18th century, and then you can go. And that's how I felt as well. It was just so hard to sit through it. You have to really have good focus. You start losing losing attention. And he just rumbles. He just rants and rants and rants. There are no questions that make him question, like think about it. It just he just talks. It's a monologue. It's not a real interview. Imagine that you have an old friend who just came from somewhere. You have not seen him for a long time, and you sit with him with a glass of beer, and you just want to let him vent it out all that's happening, his complaints. And this is what Tucker did. He just sometimes he interjected, like with that dude. There is a American Wall Street Journal journalist that is held in jail in Russia right now. He asked about him, and Tucker tried to get into to interject Putin and challenge him, but it wasn't challenging. It was but he it's not like he was saying, yeah, but this he's a journalist and he did nothing wrong and you should let him go, or something like that. It was well, he's young, just spare him. It's like you're the big guy and we're sitting here chatting, having fun, and just let him go. And he said, well, no, and explained why no. So there isn't it was really bland. I did not see anything interesting in it. Although I have to say that he managed to get some messages out. Putin, he said that he is open for the negotiations. Of course, it's just a message to American elites, Republican Party, basically, so they could use it for to say that, well, you see the negotiations, but Biden is just doesn't want to listen to it. He tried to get this message that we're strong guys, you're strong guys in the United States, let's just split the world and rule it. But I think it did not resonate because it was just it was buried in a lot of his crying and ranting, and just misrepresentation of history, his own vision, his revisionism, like an old grumpy man. That's how I would um, describe this interview.
I'm
Yeah,
curious about one thing. Did you watch it in English or in Russian?
I watched it in English. I could
Okay.
not find back then. I could not find Russian version of it.
Yeah,
So
because
like
that's
I'm not interested in watching it again. So
yeah.
I will not watch it in
I'm just
Russian.
curious about that. Like I'm honestly curious if it comes across differently in Russian or in English.
Yeah, I was thinking like no, I need to listen in Russian, but no, there was no experience. Also, I want to say that I said it on I made a post about it, but I personally think that it was not a planned interview for as much as propaganda. It was more like his office, Putin's office, just wanted old man to be heard. He probably came with this idea himself, and he was like, "Let me handle it. Let me explain to them what I mean and why they don't understand me." It wasn't like let's make this huge propaganda move and let's structure everything. Here's the list of questions. Here's how you're gonna respond. Putin rarely he prepares like for the interviews for for to give concise messages, to give succinct explanations. He's more like let me rant for hours and let me just let others hear me. It's like me here right now,
Yeah,
just ranting about
it
this.
reminds me of someone. But
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that though. Uh,
So
Yeah, so this
did
was like just to let the old man rant, and Tucker thought that this is gonna be a huge opportunity for me. I'm gonna get some dividends from it, but instead he got nothing, almost nothing. And it was humiliating for him because he insulted him, and this
he did.
insult spread a lot. And I just didn't see it's like a weak. He portrayed himself as a weak interviewer, and he's not like a tough guy who's asking. Even though Elon Musk, Vivek, and other pundits are trying to portray it as it was tough. He was tough on him. Obviously, he wasn't, and whoever watched the interview, there was nothing tough. The toughest part was exactly the thing with the um, journalist, but he just laughed it off. Tucker himself. He asked the questions like laughing and making more fun about it, and uh, making fun about the journalist, like he's just a kid, but you don't do this. It's like Tucker is a kid here. The journalist actually had the guts to go to Russia without protection of Putin himself. He had the guts to do this, and he's not a kid. He's like he's a professional journalist, and Tucker is a kid here who's being played. This is the message that I wanted to say as well. Go ahead.
so why did Putin miss that opportunity? Is he so selfish because he was able to influence American politics there? In my opinion, he was able to influence MAGA and so on.
Maybe he will influence MAGA as well, but it's not about MAGA right now, right? The MAGA is not making is not what's needed right now for him. He got MAGA on the hook anyway. They're like praising him. They are love him, etc. But he needs actually get to those moderates who would hear him, like independents that who could influence the elections. And I think he tried to get to them, but it was like he was not concise. Why was it like that? because I don't think that he's not he didn't plan it. He did the planning on himself. Let me, I'll handle this. And when you want to get a good message, it doesn't work like this. It's not like, let me handle this and just shoot the bravados. You gotta have, he should have called his pro propagandist department and say like, fellas, I need your help. And I need you to structure the interview. I need you to get me ready for this. I need you to coach me answering the questions. Give me the right, messages that I will insert in what I'm saying. But he's quite arrogant. He's a dictator. He's like a strong man basically, and he does not come to anyone for advice like this. And that's how he's got his reputation so far. But to proceed further, he needs to change his tactics, because he got MAGA using that, but he needs more, and for more he has to change the tactics. And he was just, he's, first of all, he's 6 or almost 70 years old, and I don't think he's like, he's the guy who's going to be learning too much. He can only use what he got so far, and he's like old Soviet era, Cold War guy, who's focusing on those things, and it does not resonate with the modern day America, even though there are some connections there. It just doesn't resonate well right now. That's and it didn't work for him. It just missed opportunity. But it's a missed opportunity. And why exactly couldn't he change? Because he's old and he's not willing to change. And it's more like, let me explain how it's done, instead of let's look how we should do it right. Doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just having fun with screenshots right now.
Yeah, could you stream to us so we're having the same fun?
Oh yeah. Forgot about that.
Did you show some of the memes or?
No, I was just messing around.
Okay.
Oh, that's the wrong one. Give me a second. Keep talking. Oh god, what have I done? Anyways, there, I found it. So yeah, it was a bizarre interview. It's just, I did not watch all of it, and I never will. I have no desire to. I watched some of it. It's just wild. I don't understand what the goal was. Like unless his goal was to make Tucker more pro-Ukraine, I don't understand what the goal was. But whatever. Let's just kind of move on to the next topic, I guess. The next topic.
I always want to note something, that he's like, Putin despises people like Tucker. Essentially, he's a spy, a former spy, and Putin, and he hates traitors. He hunts them. He really hates them. And Tucker is essentially a traitor to the United States. Putin knows it perfectly. And he hates journalists as well. And Tucker is not only a journalist, he's a bad journalist. So you have those two things. That's why, for example, he openly insulted Tucker. He basically told him, "Oh, you wanted to be one of us, but you, the big players, when you tried to join CIA, but instead you're just a pawn that's being tossed around by the big guys like me, and you mean nothing." He just couldn't, hold himself. And he also said Putin's arrogance told him, no, just don't give anything to him. Just insult him, make sure that, because he owns him, Putin owns him now, and he knows that Tucker has no other, like, he literally has no any ideas, anything else but praising Putin and praising what and bashing the USA. So if, for example, Putin would stand on the table and piss in his face on the camera, he knows that Tucker would have to come back and say this was like the best piss I ever tasted, because he's like, he has no other choice. He cannot come back to the United States and say, well, guys, Russians are bad, and we should support Ukraine, and I was wrong. That's not gonna happen. Like, he's gonna stop existing as as anything. Like, it's just gonna be complete collapse. And Putin also knows it. And he doesn't want to give him what he wants. That's basically it. And he wants to keep him on the hook till, like, till he needs him to do something. And he also probably used him to send a message to Trump. Like, Trump and Tucker do communicate a lot. And he's gonna speak with him and tell something to the Trump, like what he should do, and he's gonna use it for that. And this is, and Tucker in the end got absolutely nothing from it. Just destroy his reputation partially, and was laughed at, and he will still continue doing it. So, and yeah, we can move on from this.
Yeah. Okay. So the next topic is the United States, and our Congress. So the Senate had their vote on their whole big border / defense spending bill. It was like, well, $100 billion or whatever, and the Republicans shot it down because they didn't support the border anymore, apparently. So they got rid of that. Then they had a vote on just funding our defensive stuff, sending aid to Israel, Taiwan, and Ukraine, and they voted against that too. And then it went back, and they had another kind of procedural vote to bring it to the floor again. It being the sending aid to Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel. And that passed by a lot, actually. I think it was like 67 votes in favor of it, or something like that. And I kind of lost track at that point, to be honest. Anyways, so the point being, the Senate has the opportunity to pass this bill, and then it will be sent to the House, who have vowed to not pass it. Although there are ways to pass it without the Speaker of the House. There's a thing called a discharge petition, where the members of the House can get together and vote to have a vote. It is kind of a meta vote, but they can vote to have a vote, and in doing so, they can bypass all the procedures needed to bring a vote to the floor, including bypassing the Speaker of the House. But in order to do that, you'd have to have the majority of the members of the House vote in favor of this discharge petition, which would mean that several Republicans would have to vote in favor of the petition, which would mean breaking ranks of the Republican Party, which makes it rather unlikely, although not impossible, that it could happen. There's also a possibility that the House Speaker could be pressured into supporting the bill after the Senate passes it, which the Senate hasn't passed it yet, I don't think, unless they did it in the past few hours, because I haven't read the news in the past few hours. But yeah, there is a sense of dread that I see in Ukrainians, and that I hear. Just a bit ago, like 2 hours ago, I was talking to a few Ukrainians who were very upset about all of this. And I don't know, Konstantin, would you like to talk about this, at least in not so much in regards to American politics, but more so in regards to how Ukrainians see it?
Yeah, of course, Ukraine is upset. I have to say that Ukraine, if we speak from the Ukrainian side, we feel betrayed because we know that we've heard promises that United States will be with Ukraine, however, whatever it takes and how long it takes. Obviously, whatever it takes, promise was broken when we did not get the weapons that we asked for when we asked for them, like ATACMS, for example, that they gave us only after we failed at the offensive, like and then the same day that we got it, we destroyed Russian helicopters. And I could imagine that if we started those strikes with destroyed Russian helicopters using those ATACMS missiles, things may have been more successful. Because in the war, even a small bit can tip the scale. Same with Patriots, for example. We're just getting so little. And when we use those on the front lines, we managed to shut down so many Russian planes. If we got those extra 2 batteries of Patriot batteries, we could have destroyed Russian planes that were shooting those guided bombs that caused really a lot. So, like, whatever it takes part was broken a long time ago by Biden himself. And now they basically broke the promise that is saying how long it takes, because it's been 4 months, and we clearly see that Ukraine is just it's not about that United States doesn't have the resources. It's not about that United States doesn't want to support Ukraine. It's more about that it won't do it. We won't do it because we have this internal struggle that not many Ukrainians understand what's going on. And from our standpoint, United States is a holistic actor, a holistic state that provides this package or does not provide. We don't see that internally. There are Republicans that are blocking something, or Democrats not providing us something. We see that United States doesn't help us. And when United States promised, and according to United States Constitution and laws, it's the United States president that handles the external affairs, and he promised it from the United States, from the government of the United States, and both Congress and the president are part of that government. And we expected Congress to just follow up because it's an obligation. It's a promise, and that United States took. It's not a promise that Biden did. It's a promise that was made by United States, and we expected it to be followed up, but it did not happen. It's not happening, obviously, and this is how we feel, and this is how just I think it's and people in Europe feel. Maybe Guy can speak to it better, but I know that people in Europe are a bit awakening, especially in Baltic states and Poland. They understand that next time something like this may happen, even if NATO Article 5 can be invoked. There is going to be some internal bickering in the United States, and suddenly they're going to say that, well, the Article 5 doesn't order us to send our forces to attack the country. It says that we have the right to do so, and we should be treating it as our own, as attack on ourselves. But if we were attacked, maybe we should just go negotiate with the attacker and not try to fight it. So there are a million arguments that can be done, that if you don't want to help someone, And this is, I think, that how United States is perceived right now in the world and in Ukraine. And yeah, this is the feelings.
Yep. So, Gik, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. Honestly, I never thought about that because for some reason, for me, there was a very strict line differentiating those cases. It's an interesting thought. However, I think that the United States has bases in several of those countries, so it's a bit of a different story, in my opinion. And also, I don't really want to think about that. I typically focus on what's at hand, and what's at hand is that currently it looks like Europe doesn't or can't send sufficient aid to Ukraine, and the United States doesn't want to, or at least those who want to are blocked from doing so as well. I think that's what's at hand, and I don't know. I'm losing a lot of hope, to be honest. I look at the front line and I see how many times we had to move the front line recently because I saw people walking along or across fields barely getting shelled. I mean, I'm looking at the real world impacts of what's happening in terms of aid donations, and in my opinion, looking at all that footage, it's due to that. Honestly, it's due to that. We don't see enough shelling. We see people, even if the columns, even if the vehicles break down, they can continue on foot, not getting shelled at all. Of course, you're going to lose a village like that, or a town, or even a city like Avdiivka, because if you can't flatten the ground around infantry, which is attacking, they're gonna be in basements everywhere, and it's so hard to get them out of there. So, in my opinion, Avdiivka, next to, of course, strategic mistakes which were in the past, and I don't want to think about strategic mistakes in the past. Just looking at what's happening now.
Those mistakes in the past were sending too much ammo to other places and not giving Avdiivka enough ammo. Those were the mistakes of the past. So all of the mistakes in Avdiivka have been from lack of ammo. It's been the lack of ammo forcing Ukraine to make decisions, and pretty much all the decisions they've made have ended up being like, we're going to sacrifice Avdiivka.
Yeah, I want to say that it's the decisions that were made were not really the best ones. When we used our old ammo before. But I have to say that, like, one of the reasons why it was done also is that we relied on the United States to supply them. We understood that we may not have as much ammo as during the summer, but we knew that it's not. We thought that it's not gonna drop below the critical level where we cannot, just where we have none. And this is what happened exactly. Like, we just, United States cut its support, and we were like, we don't have anything to shoot with anymore. And we're not the richest state. We don't have oil pumps, and we don't have diamonds and gold and gas, natural gas to pump billions of dollars. We're just an agricultural country that has some big IT sector, but we don't have billions and billions to do this by ourselves. And there are not many countries in the world that have that. If you think that any country in the world has that and can last against Russia without external support, you're wrong. Like, what would Germany would do? Like, you don't, without support from the United States, you don't have, even with the money, you would have strikes on your factories, and you would not have your production, going. It's been 2 years. Germany still struggles to get the production of artillery shells to what they wanted, and this is not like, if we want to live in the world that basically has only empires are ruled by, where there is no sovereignty, and just there is Russia, United States, and China, and maybe India, uh, because we don't, everyone can invade everyone else, and it just, no one will help. Then yeah, you can just ignore it. But Ukraine, like, if you want to live in the world where there are sovereign countries and that make their own decisions, and there are nations, independent nations, well, you have to do something to support Ukraine in this fight. And apparently it's not happening, unfortunately. And this is where we are. We don't have, like Geek said, we don't see the shelling. I speak with our troops. We have like 4 to 5 times less shells right now. I know gun SP, not SPG, towed artillery. This was coming from the towed artillery guys. But some brigades ration, artillery brigades, not infantry brigades, are rationing 4 to 7 shells a day per gun. It's like nothing, basically. It's just, it's nothing.
Yep.
Before, like, we need like 100 per day per gun. When everything is all right, like, we could fight back, and if we had 30 shells per gun, but it would be different. But we have 5 to 7. It's like,
These are the same sort of stories that I was hearing before the offensive too. That guns were, like, I was hearing about batteries being given like 20 shells per gun per week. And it's just being like, geez. Anyways, I want to say thank you to 2 people. First is Davinci for donating a square kilometer. Thank you. And also to Angel Fire for donating 20 memberships. So thank you for that too.
And I think Kathy just donated as well.
And Kathy, thank you. I am not as I'm not as down as others, which may surprise people. People think I'm a doomer. I'm not. I think the European Union supplying the ammo that they're giving has locked in a baseline shells. I do want to keep in mind. I want to do the math because I haven't done the math on this. 1 second.
Yeah, while you do the math, there's talk about the 450,000 shells, which the Czech Republic said they found somewhere to acquire.
Yeah.
So first of all, where are those from? I mean, it's not known, but it's likely that those are South African shells, because as far as I know, South Africa is having a lot of budget issues and is trying to, get money for their budget.
Yeah.
And so they can't use those shells, and selling those shells, is one way out. So there's a large potential that those shells would be coming from South Africa. It's also true that there was some sort of veto within the European Union that those shells, which are part of the program, would need to be sourced from within Europe. Which, I'm not sure if those countries which brought that on the table thought that they could, sufficiently produce enough shells to, fulfill the promise in that quantity or not. But that, of course, needs to be thought through, or maybe there needs to be another vote on that, because having 500,000 shells on short notice, of course, would change the current offensive pace that we see from the Russians.
So the math works out that I believe from March onward, so starting at the end of this month, the EU should increase the number of shells by 15% into Ukraine. And that should last, at least they're promising that this increase in 15% will last the rest of the year. And that is just the EU package. It's not all of the other packages. Like Germany gives their own ammo in addition. The UK is giving their own ammo, and like these shells from these 450,000. That's in addition as well. So I think Ukraine will end up okay. It's just the EU was not prepared to fight a war, any war really, and they're getting more and more prepared every month. I feel like they're getting better, and I think in the long term they will be able to supply Ukraine with everything they need. It's just that this awkward growing period between now and then is just going to be painful, and that's the reality that we're going through. And the reason I was so upset last year, especially towards the end of autumn and the beginning of winter, is because I saw this coming, and it was really upsetting, and I hated it, and I kept hoping, especially in like October, that the U.S. would do something to avoid this period, but they never did. And this is kind of what we're dealing with. I don't think Ukraine is going to be left without. I think what they have now is the least that they will have for the rest of the year. And I think it'll be okay.
And I think Russia knows that as well. Because looking at what they're doing all along the front line right now, they've planned for that period, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, of course they planned. They understand. They have their spies as well that tell him. They have their estimates of the stocks that are left. They have the estimates of what's coming. But also, like, what is? I understand you say it's going to be better in the future, but the problem is that we have to last till that future, and without the shells, our infantry, like, there are things that we can and should and must do to mitigate it, but outside of that is that our infantry is really. I'm sorry, had to sneeze. Our infantry is really suffering, and like the morale is dropping pretty hard. It's not like it's really hard to recover. What I'm saying is, it's not as easy as people think that. While you will have shells in so much time. But that time we may be facing huge problems already, and there may be a critical moment after which we cannot recover, and it happens, and it's nothing new in military history. Things like this happen, and just the wars are being lost because of things like that. So I think it's critical, and I think Ukraine have to do everything to mitigate it. But unfortunately, our this is stolen in Ukraine direction, is that our government is not doing enough. Also, we just we have to build bunkers. We have to build the fortifications like Zenith in Avdiivka, like those type of fortifications where we have underground tunnels. Where we have trenches that can protect from FPVs, where we have trenches and bunkers and trenches that can take 55 millimeter shells, because we use reinforced concrete, steel reinforced concrete with the layers of dirt, and this is like the only way for us to to last through. And unfortunately, our government waited for too long. We did not build those fortification. It was like, okay, let's build something, but no one really tried and to build them as well. And also, we need infantry. That's because our infantry positions are staffed like 1/3 of what they should be. And it's only going to be worse and worse because we have a law that does not allow mobilization of people under 27. And this means that our guys who are fighting are not youngsters, and their health simply, like, your health just drops when you're after 45, and you're exposed to elements for so long. An average male is not going to survive for too long. That's why the in back in the day in times that Putin likes to talk about, people life expectancy was not too long, because when in that age your health is much more fragile than when you're young. And it just it's not getting better. We have to build the fortification, and we have to mobilize. And our government is procrastinates on mobilization because people are unhappy with it, and Zelensky afraid his ratings will drop. And the fortifications are you have to have the money for it as well to build them properly. And Zelensky, like, he uses the money to pay for social payments, for example. We have to look at that and start cutting that as well, and we have to find the finances. So that's something that upsets me a lot as well. That's why I ranted. But yeah, those things have to happen for us to get to the point that you're talking about, where when we will have the shells once again.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The unfortunate thing to me, what makes me just so frustrated, is that we knew this was happening so far in advance. Ukraine had so much warning, and they didn't prepare. That's something that really blows me away. I don't get that. It was heartbreaking talking to people in the beginning of winter, like late autumn. Like I talked to your friend Vitaly a little bit, and he was talking to me about how he wasn't sure if he would survive the winter, just the coldness of it, like the weather, and it's because of his age, basically, and because it takes so much out of you just to survive. Like, I think everybody knows that. Like, everybody in a cold climate knows that winter is not fun, especially as you get older, and it's just heartbreaking to hear it from directly from people,
So in terms of mobilization, we did have a new decree, right?
So we have to fix, like, our current laws allow for everyone to avoid mobilization. Basically, there are too many loopholes, and it's really hard to mobilize people. They will just find a way not to get mobilized. So we need to have a law that would have our government more control over who's being mobilized, and we have to close the loopholes. That's why we need the law before we start new wave of mobilization once again. But people are being. We're in state of war, so we have the recruitment offices. They're working, and they're mobilizing people. It's just really small amount. There is no, they're limited in their capabilities, and we have to change that. Without this, it's just really complicated. It just, you find people, like, you like choose, okay, let's mobilize these names from the list, and then they come in and say, okay, well, I have this reason not to be mobilized, or I have this reason not to be mobilized, and I have this reason not to be mobilized. And out of 10 guys, you have only one left. And this has to be changed because those reasons are mostly loopholes that they find, and that's why we really need. It's not the decree; it's the law that would that would define mobilization, set the right rules that government needs to mobilize people.
And also, I mean, once you mobilize, you still need to train them. And this is something which also needs to be taken into consideration because we currently are observing a huge shortage in manpower. And even if you start mobilizing immediately, it takes months for them to be ready in any sort of.
And you're totally right. You're totally right. And this is why, like, this should have been addressed. This is where I blame Zelensky a lot. This should have been addressed, like in November, in October, when we saw, like, okay, our offensive is not working. Obviously, the offensive had to be stopped, but let's. This is a different story. But we should, like, it's not working. Let's get ready for the defense. Let's get ready for the future, and let's start mobilizing people now, so we can have them trained by February, by spring. But it wasn't done, and now we're once again, even if we mobilize them tomorrow, it will take 3 months to get them into the units, unless we will start doing what we were doing from the beginning, is just sending the guys, take the gun and go to the trench, which is not really working strategy at this point, and then not a good strategy when you are 2 years in the war.
One thing that I've heard proposed is that various NATO countries have been training Ukrainian soldiers, and a lot of those countries, like the UK, for example, but also I think Norway, Sweden, I think like Finland, lots of countries, Germany too, and a lot of them are training at capacity right now. So if Ukraine were to expand mobilization, they may not be able to send those troops to other countries to train. And I have heard that this may be one of the reasons Ukraine has not been expanding their mobilization.
But there are so many roles to fill.
I agree. I mean, who will train them? I mean, can Ukraine train them? I mean, I don't know what training capacity Ukraine has. I don't like are they training at capacity already? I don't think other countries can take on more right now. I think they've been working on taking on more people in the future, especially the UK, but I don't think they can right now. So who would train them? That may be the issue here. Friend Chris has joined the Green Eye membership. Now he can bestow green eyeballs upon others. I will do so. I'm gonna post the green eyeball. There. Okay. So the next topic is generals. In that they've had a shuffle. The deck has been shuffled. Zaluzhny is no longer the top dog. I don't know what role he has now. I saw that he changed his Telegram name, so it's Telegram official. And I guess now Syrskyi is in charge, huh? I don't know. Konstantin, what do you think?
I'm sorry, fellas. I've been called.
Okay.
I have to step away for a second.
All right, no problem.
But I have to be busy in the next 20 minutes, 10 minutes at least.
Okay.
What a coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we were kind of banking on Konstantin talking about this.
Yeah.
So okay, I'm
I
not
guess
super psyched about this. Like, I'm not super happy about it. But I'm not gonna like play it up. Like, I know a lot of people have been like freaking out about Zaluzhny and Sersky. I know there's a lot of people who really like Zaluzhny. I know there's a lot of people who really don't like him too. So and I also know there's a lot of people who really dislike Sersky and others who like him too. So I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Sersky. I'm I'm not a fan. Uh, but at the end of the day, I don't have the ability to really analyze it. So I'm just kind of I'm just I'm just kind of like staying out of this one. I don't really have a hot take other than I don't really like Sersky that much. But other than that, you know, maybe he'll be fine. I don't know, dude.
yeah. In general, I agree. I think it's, or at least I personally, I can't really make up my mind or have an opinion about the persons involved because obviously I don't know them. Also, I don't know a lot of the decision making which is actually taking place or has taken place in the past. From the pure, like from what is public and what is allegedly true, at least there are a couple of snippets which are interesting, such that Zaluzhny actually stopped the offensive, and that was the right decision back then, and it should have been continued to stop the offensive in that sense. So given if that is true, then of course Zaluzhny there has a lot of sympathy from my side. And anyone who then decided that the offensive needs to continue doesn't get that same sympathy. Now, I don't know who those people are, if Zelensky was involved, as is rumored, or not. I just know that it's getting me worried from really two perspectives. One is I'm a bit worried that these thriving young and democratic Ukraine, which we all like to see, is getting a bit sidelined here by a more direct and authoritarian style, basically, with Syrskyi standing for a potentially old school Soviet heritage kind of schooling. And the second thing, or the second perspective I'm looking at, is that I'm really worried about the morale of the soldiers even more right now, because obviously looking at how the war is currently going on and how everyone is complaining about manpower issues, about ammunition issues and so on, and about how Russia is gaining ground pretty much everywhere, you now have a lot of soldiers who were very emotional because a solution to them was very important. At least on Ukrainian unit telegrams, a lot of the social telegrams reacted with very angry messages to the sacking, or to the, I don't know, do you call it sacking or whatever, to the change in leadership. So my worry is that this reshuffle will cause some further morale issues in the Ukrainian army right now, and yeah, I think that's probably all I can say, or I should say about that.
I have to say that I'm a bit back. I have to say, yeah, this will greatly impact the morale, because it's like someone put it.
They tried to keep him away from talking about this.
Yeah. So like his Zelensky basically did remove the most popular general and put the most unpopular general. I mean, those two things, like it's exponential. It's the problem is not only removing Zelensky, it's also putting the most unpopular general into the control, which amplifies the problem. So yeah, this is it's gonna have huge implications for us and for morale, because for most people, like the different what people don't understand about the morale when you're just observing it from Twitter and from afar, is that it's not only, well, he made this and next morning I'm gonna wake up and things not gonna change. The issue is that no, it's gonna change for the people on the front lines, because they're actually the ones that are dying, and things like it directly impacts them. It has a direct effect on everything. This is, sorry, I have to go. Yeah, I'll join a bit in 5 minutes. So
Okay. Yeah. So it's just, but I do want to point out that not everyone had a negative response. Probably the majority, sure. But not everyone. Not everyone had a negative response. Some don't care. Some didn't like Zaluzhny. And some like Sersky. Like, some of the soldiers just actually like him. So it's not a universal thing one way or the other. And I don't. I feel like the people who don't like him really don't like him. I think that's kind of more the issue, and I feel like the people who, I'm not sure how many disliked Zaluzhny. I think he was a very good unifier of the country, which is why it's also shocking to me, because he seemed to bridge the gap between just all of the political parties and the different factions of Ukraine. Like, he seemed to bridge it all into some unified goal, some purpose. And getting rid of him is just kind of bizarre to me. I don't know. Do you want to continue to talk about this? I kind of don't.
I mean, I don't know. We would probably need Konstantin, but one of the things a lot of people talk about the achievements of Sersky and so on. To be honest, I'm not fully aware of, what achievements does Sersky really have.
The hero of Debaltseva,
Yeah, that's the achievement I really didn't want to talk about, but more in terms of the current, the full scale invasion. In terms of the defense of Kiev, was it really Sersky? And in terms of the Kharkiv offensive, was it really Sersky, and so on? But I'm not sure if you know all the details there.
I don't know details. I can tell you what I've been told, and I cannot speak whether they are facts. I can only tell you that they are very strongly held emotional opinions by people who told me this. From what I've heard from those people, and I'm not saying this is true, just take it as an emotional plea, okay? Take it that way, not as a fact. But they basically said that the attack on Kharkiv was primarily planned by lower level officers, like colonels, and that the success of the operation was largely because the upper level commanders, like Sersky, were not part of it. That is more or less what they've said, and that they are very proud of the work that they did in doing that. That those colonels and lieutenant colonels and that level of officer, they were very proud that they managed to pull off this offensive, because they're proud of it, and they apparently get very offended when Sersky is given the credit.
And honestly, I can see some truth in that, because just looking at pure logic, I think the Kharkiv offensive was very atypical, I would say. I think Russia was very well prepared to defend against any sort of NATO-style tactics, as well as it is, of course, very well prepared to know its own doctrine, so the Soviet doctrines. So I think the reason why the Kharkiv offensive was going so smoothly and so fast and so successful was due to the fact that it was planned on a different scale and level, and hence, the execution was atypical to what Russia was expecting.
Yeah. And frankly, I think Russia had mostly withdrawn from Kharkiv when the offensive began. I don't think it was a committed defensive posture from Russia. I think they had one foot out the door when the attack started.
In my opinion, they didn't have a foot out of the door. I think my opinion always was that they just expected to go further before they needed to dig in.
I don't know. I really think that they had withdrawn most of their forces already. Because I wasn't personally, but the people who are tracking the units that were in this area, like they'd been spotted getting redeployed around Ukraine, like in the south, and I think over near Kherson, whatever. So, like a lot of these units were getting redeployed. We saw their vehicle depots were getting emptied over time. Over the course of several weeks, the vehicle depots were getting emptied and brought back into Russia. And I think Russia was really just kind of going through the process of withdrawing. And I think it got to the point where Ukraine said, we think they're going to leave. Oh, we want to kick them out and slam the door on them. I think that was kind of the Ukrainian thinking here. Whereas, like, maybe if Ukraine didn't attack, maybe like Russia would have built a line like near Veliki Berluk, or maybe they would have built a line around Kupiansk, or maybe they would have held on to this big portion of Kharkiv, and I think Ukraine just wanted to break through and make sure it didn't happen. I really think Russia was basically withdrawing at the time of the attack and in the month leading up to it. And at the same time, Ukraine did some pretty shocking things in this attack. They built up a large number of forces right over here around Andriivka. They built up a lot of forces in a very short period of time and launched a very strong attack, just like basically straight east. They broke through. Part of them went north, part of them just kept going east. That eastern portion then, split south and got Izium, and some of them kept going to the river, and the northern part got Kupiansk, and some of them broke north and went even further north, and eventually got everything. So it was a very successful attack. I think both can be true. I think both Russia withdrew, and also Ukraine did a very, very successful offensive. I think both are true. But the thing is that what Russia didn't do is a determined defense. They didn't really fully dig in. They didn't dump infantry in to defend. They didn't like fight to the last man sort of defense. They fought until they had a breakthrough. They suffered a breakthrough and then they pulled out. So
yeah, but at that time, we're now probably comparing it also to the defense we see right now. But at that time, that was pretty normal because Russia was on the offensive and their expectation was to get all of Ukraine. I
guess.
So right now we're seeing all those defensive lines, of course, in the south. But that was basically the result of the Kharkiv offensive, in my opinion.
I don't know about that. I don't know. the way I view Kharkiv is that Russia wanted to capture Slavyansk. This was their big goal. They tried to. They couldn't break through. Remember they had captured Bohorodichna, and they were trying to break on south, break through this line, but they basically stalled out in Bohorodichna, and they couldn't move anymore. And at that point, they basically gave up, and they had this kind of major defensive line that was kind of from like Studenak over to Izium, and then on over and kind of through this kind of forested area up to this river over to Balaklia, and then on up to this river again. So there's this kind of defensive line that kind of like ran like this, and they realized that this defensive line could be held temporarily, but it probably wasn't going to withstand a determined attack. And I think they started withdrawing from kind of this level, like this far behind the front. I don't know what this is, like 30, 40, 50 kilometers behind the front. I think they started withdrawing from here. They may have had a plan to build a defensive line like over here or maybe up here, but Ukraine didn't let them do that. I really don't think. I think at the time of the Ukrainian attack, I think Russia had basically given up on any offensive purpose here. They tried, it failed, and they gave up. I think what was the learning on Russia's side, the learning thing here, was that I think at this point in the war, Russia was acting pretty rationally, in my opinion, in that they had a goal, they went for it, didn't work, and they withdrew. And the same kind of went for Kherson, where they had a goal, they went for it, didn't work out, and then they withdrew. But then Putin kind of like went off the deep end, where he was like, nah, we're not withdrawing from a single inch of ground anymore. Like we're gonna fight to the last man. I think that was the change. I think Putin just told everyone we're not withdrawing from anything ever again. In other words, I don't think Putin supported the withdrawal that happened here. I think he was against it, and it offended him, and he changed the Russian army as a result. And I think ever since then, Russia has been acting like, in my opinion, much less rationally. They've been taking on significantly more casualties in all sorts of areas. In their huge counterattacks throughout the summer to break up the Ukrainian offensive, which it was successful in stopping the Ukrainian offensive, but I'm not sure they were necessary. I think they could have let Ukraine advance further and just defeat them with a defense in depth and then pushed Ukraine back over the winter. And I think they would have sustained fewer casualties, but Putin was just like, no steps back, we're not losing an inch, And then these attacks on Vuhledar and Novomykhailivka and Avdiivka, taking these enormous casualties. I think this is all part of his, this I don't know how to describe it. It's like this mindset of conquest. It doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. But I think we departed from Syrskyi now.
Yes. Okay.
Quite a bit.
So there's one more issue that I'd like to talk about before we get into actual map news, I guess. And that is the missiles. The other day, on the 7th, I think, or the 6th, whatever, the night of the 6th, whatever, they did another large missile attack. And by large, I'd say it's more of a medium size. This missile strike, I believe it was 28 missiles. Okay, so there's a bit of a projection of the size of Russia's next missile strike. And it's based on the patterns that Russia has enshrined in the past through their, what is this, the third year now? So we're following this pattern that Russia has created, and the pattern has fit for every missile strike that they've done so far, including this last one. So the pattern basically said that Russia would have 2 missile strikes in this period. I can't remember what the period was, but it was like a 3-week period or 4-week period where they would shoot 50 missiles. The first time they fired, I think, 15 or 18 or whatever. I can't remember the exact number. And this time they fired about 28. And between the two, it basically averaged to, it came out to about 50. I think 48 or whatever. And so that's one thing to keep in mind, is that their missile strikes are following the pattern that is predictable, which would mean that over the course of this next period of time, which will be roughly a month long, we would predict that they will fire 100 missiles total, and this would be probably broken up across 4 missile strikes. So yeah, and the reason we say 100 missiles is because they appear to be manufacturing about 100 a month. Now, the wild card here is that we don't understand their caliber usage, in that they have fired 6 calibers this winter when we expected them to fire like a lot. So we don't know what's going on with caliber, but with their KH-101s, they're following the predictable pattern. So if they manufacture 100 a month, they have 1 month worth of production this month, obviously. So they'll fire 1 month worth of production this month, and then they will likely take 2 months off, not firing anything, and they'll go into the pattern again. So I just find that interesting, in that they've been following this pattern very, very strictly. It's become very predictable. Gick knows I have predicted each of the last 2 missile strikes to the day.
Yeah, but you're trying to not be very absolute about it. You always say you feel like it.
Yeah, because I just look around, because I base it on how they use Shaheds, and when I'm reading the news and I see a certain type of Shahed attack, I just think like, oh man, they're gonna shoot missiles tonight. That's basically what I go on.
Yeah, but the numbers have been correct, yeah, for the past couple of strikes.
Yeah. Anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about regarding those missiles. I don't know. Would you like to talk about the missiles more? Because there were a bunch of strikes that you know about. There were some in Kyiv and some in Mykolaiv, where they like shot this giant hole in the ground. Yeah.
I don't think there's too much to say other than, well, at least from the pictures, there was no military target evident. But one thing maybe makes sense to mention here. A big shout out to Dominic, who's geolocating for geoconfirm, because a lot of the times when we geolocate those damages, or at least when I put the coordinates to those damages in, it's based on his work. So just a little thank you there.
Yeah. Oh, and they've been hitting refineries too. Would you like to talk about the refineries?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Okay. I have nothing to say about the refineries.
You mean Ukraine has been hitting refineries?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we can talk about that. I mean, we did have a refinery hit yesterday. What was it? Perm? No, not Perm. Oh, yeah, exactly. It was, what is that? No, not Kuban. I have Krasnodar. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the first videos I saw, I thought like, oh, that looks like something very usual with Russian refineries, where they,
burst into flames sometimes.
Yeah, they do that frequently, and every time I get excited, and then it was nothing, and just regular business. But this time, allegedly, really a drone hit the refinery, and I think it was a processing station or something like that. So, I mean, I don't track capacity of any sort of refineries in Russia. I just know that Russia has huge amounts of them. So I'm not sure that seeing those individual hits, I don't know, one per week, even if it appears much, I'm not entirely sure if it's going to have a significant impact.
Yeah, I don't know anything about refineries. I know that there are people who have been researching these refineries in very significant depth, and I think they're going to be writing an article at some point, but they're not done yet. So maybe it'll come out in a month or something. I don't know.
Yeah. One thing we can mention though is that Ukraine seems to be deploying a new kind of drone, which is having a jet propulsion engine, I think. If John was here, he would be bitching at me right now. But yeah. Anyway, so H.I. Sutton, I know he had an article about that or a post about that as well. So you can read more about that on his Twitter. Definitely interesting. Given the jet engine might be faster, it might have less range though. But it might be harder for Russia to intercept. So we're going to see how that develops in future. The Russians, when they found the parts, they were surprised about the high quality of those drones, expecting basically that someone in the West is more or less building that for Ukraine.
So they're better than a Shahed, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of how it's manufactured, yeah, apparently it's better than a Shahed.
I think anything is better than a Shahed.
I think the warhead on those drones, what was it? I think 20 kilograms payload. I'm not sure how that compares to a Shahed, but you might have the number in your head.
I think that's roughly the same.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's a fair amount of punch. We're gonna see if Ukraine is able to deploy them, with more efficiency.
Okay, so now we can get to the actual mapping news. By the way, Erland's here now.
1 second. Yeah, exactly. Because Erland is here, let's talk just one thing, because I know Erland was tracking that in a bit more detail. The F-16 picture, which was published today. Erland,
Hello.
what's the latest?
So that looks, by the way, hi, I'm sorry I'm late, but I was listening a little bit for a while. Yeah, that picture looks manipulated. And the first sign was actually just me zooming in on my phone. Then I opened the computer, checked it in a couple of different forensic softwares, and it looks highly edited. You can even see it, like they didn't bother to remove every artifact around the logo. But I don't think the image is fake, if you know what I mean. I just think they manipulated the logos on.
Okay.
There's no reason for the image to be fake, because we know there are Ukrainian pilots training in Denmark.
Yeah, but would the planes have Ukrainian livery? Probably not.
No, probably not. No. I think there will probably be some sort of ceremony when the aircraft is officially handed over to the Ukrainian Air Force.
Okay.
The West needs, to show these things happening. And transferred over to the Ukrainian Air Force doesn't mean necessarily transferred to Ukraine, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But, things like that can be a morale boost. I enjoyed seeing it.
Yeah. But I don't think the picture is fake. I think that someone just found out that it was a good opportunity to put some Ukrainian colors on the plane.
Yeah, one thing which I saw, and now I need to look up his name because I would say it wrongly, but Moyavensis is his name, yeah. So D. Moyavensis, he said that the livery could be real. However, the picture would need to be edited nevertheless, because depending on what plane it is, they might had to cover some of the markings of the Danish Air Force or whoever was owning that plane before.
Yeah, because of the registration.
Yeah, exactly. So that might also be an explanation for the manipulation details on the picture.
Yeah, so it explains some things, but it doesn't explain why the patch on his left arm is obviously edited. You don't need the software, right? To see that.
Yeah. Well, so we don't know. we just know that the picture is weird. Sadly, not an entirely happy story now.
So I have a bit of breaking news. It's not really breaking, but before I was talking about Skywatch banning the United States. Uh, apparently, the CEO wasn't aware of that. So maybe there's more to this story. Anyways, do you want to get to the Ukrainian news now? The map.
Yeah,
news?
let's go. Let's talk
Okay.
Frontline.
Would you like to go north to south or south to north, or just start with Avdiivka?
I'm trying to think about where should we end because it's the least sad or bad news. But it's bad all over the place. I think Kherson isn't too bad, but also there's no news there.
Well, there's some.
Let's go clockwise. Let's start in Kupiansk.
Okay. So yesterday there was news that Russia had entered Senkivka and that they're fighting in one of the streets. So we never got like actual confirmation of this, but this is the news on the street. But I don't know.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, Ukrainian units I follow in that region, they did confirm that there was a Russian attack, but according to them, I think that attack was repelled. So
I would not be surprised if Russia advanced like up to like this area and got repelled, because that's happened so many times that I would not be surprised if it happened another time, because this is a strait of Senkivka, and there's been fighting there before, so it would not shock me. Next area is how do you pronounce this? Tybievka? Or Tybiivka? I don't know how to pronounce this. Anyways, there's been ongoing fighting here as well. I'm not sure who even controls things anymore, to be honest. This kind of map is just based on our last info. I've heard that, some people are saying that Russia has advanced and taken much of the town. It's not really even a town, whatever. That they've taken much of it, or maybe it's all a gray area. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I can say that yesterday there was a video of a Russian assault into some tree line. And I'm, let's say, around 70% sure that it was more or less directly Tabaivka. But I couldn't convince myself 100% that it's that area. So I didn't have the balls to put the coordinates there. It still is the only region that looked remotely like that. So we might have weak evidence that Russia might have advanced further into Tabaivka based on that video, at least. But I didn't map it because I couldn't convince myself 100%. So
yeah, we know that they've been kind of fighting along this highway here, and so yeah, this is kind of a big question mark. Who exactly controls what? But anyways, that's the next area. The next area after that, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about this whole region, to be honest. Do you have any news about Terni or Yampolivka? Because I kind of don't.
No, at least not from video evidence. There's not all too much news. We did have a lot of rumors of Russians saying that they advanced further towards Yampolivka, Of course, the road there is very important to Ukrainian efforts in the region. So losing that road would be very significant. Nevertheless, so far there's no evidence of that. What we see right now in terms of videos is a lot of Ukrainian farming, basically. Like they just look at whatever they can find with FPV drones and hit it in that general area. But no, or at least it looks like no coordinated effort by Russia to for the next offensive step there.
Yeah. So Bilohorivka, I think Russia has taken this industrial area. I think it's a given now. There has been some video recently of Russian shelling in this general area, this particular this position right here on this curve and this road. This is Ukraine kind of built a really deep trench here. It's like oddly deep. It feels like it's like 20 feet deep when you look at it. It's probably not, but it's like a really deep trench. And Russia was shelling it, which didn't appear to be doing much because the trench is so deep. But beyond that, it seems that Russia's taken this industrial area.
And again, I think it's important to highlight. It seems that Russia again is taking that area with infantry. The vehicles they deployed, they were stopped basically still within their own controlled zone. They didn't even leave or move into any sort of gray zone or very close to the front line. So what we see there is mostly infantry efforts again, and it's so annoying to see that because this can be stopped.
Yes. Yep. Russia's been hitting this like quarry pretty regularly with drones and artillery, dating back a week or two at this point, and also these hills up here. Was the other day this long ring of Russian drone attacks on this Ukrainian trench right here on this. It's like a stream, and I believe Ukraine controls the other side of the stream, so they're not defending like their side. Like they crossed the stream and built a line on the opposite side of the stream, which was interesting.
Yeah, another interesting thing there is that the Russian MOD, they released a video, I think yesterday, of TOS shelling, basically northeast of that stream. We geolocated that TOS shelling, I think, on February the 2nd. But given that the Russian MOD released, yeah, exactly that one. Given that the Russian MOD releases it yesterday, some channels or some people interpreted from that Ukraine might have retaken those positions. In my opinion, and also given that we have an earlier date on that video, in my opinion, it simply preceded their own efforts there.
Yep. Okay, so we do have some apparently recent drone attacks in Vesele, which was interesting. We also had some Ukrainian drone attacks on this highway. I was tempted to just red over this whole gray area. Maybe I will later today, but I haven't yet. Beyond that, don't really have much to say about this whole area. Bodanivka. Do you want to say anything about here? We've had some Russian drone attacks. These drone attacks were weird. I assume these are old. Those are weird, though.
Well, I can tell you that people mapped the other three inside the town. At least the Russian Telegram channels, they only mapped the three inside the town, and they missed the ones which are not, that comfortable to them.
Yeah.
I am not entirely convinced that they're too old. In my opinion, Russians failed to gain a significant foothold. We did see 93rd attack to the north of Bodanivka and retake the tree line. After that, again, we saw some Ukrainian videos of shelling that or droning that same tree line.
Yeah.
So it's a bit hard to really figure out the chronology of all of that.
It's really
it might
hard.
be it might be that Ukraine still is in control of the tree line, and that wouldn't make it entirely unlikely that they also control the other tree line. It appears to me personally, and that's just an opinion, it's not based on any observed facts. I mean, what we see here is the observed facts. But it appears to me that Russia might have not been successful in gaining a foothold here, and they might be in front of Bodanivka only. But we will see. I guess the next videos will tell.
Yeah. And if we can get some satellite imagery, maybe. The other day was beautiful for a lot of the country, but unfortunately we didn't get that much imagery from it because the day like cleared as it got, as the day went on, it got clearer and clearer, but all the satellite imagery came early in the morning. So only part of the country was clear at that point. And also I was banned from buying images that day, which was very disappointing. Anyways, so we might be getting some clearer imagery of this area, even if it's just on Sentinel. It would be really nice to maybe figure out what's going on, because I feel confident saying any area in this general region that's getting hit by artillery is controlled by Ukraine, because Ukraine doesn't have ammo. So.
Yeah, and the fortifications there are actually quite significant.
Yeah.
So this is one of the defensive lines, and actually it's a multi-layered defensive line which they have prepared for the initial Bakhmut assault.
Yeah. And here is a video that I find fascinating, and I want to play it for everybody. I want you to watch this and enjoy it, because this is not a vehicle I ever expected to see. The more I look at it, the more I'm convinced I'm right in what this is. Do you want to tell the people what this vehicle is?
I can't tell what that vehicle is. I feel like you might be right. But
This front part,
you don't,
look at the front.
It could be a BMD, a BMD with a large tent on top, a camper's BMD.
Like maybe a BTRD, maybe?
No, but also if you look at the tracks, they appear to be so small.
I'll show you. Why is this? Oh, give me a second. It's actually hard to find because I haven't trained Google on this particular vehicle yet.
You posted it on Twitter. You can open your own tweet.
I will open my own tweet.
Yeah. So it might be that, yeah.
Here we go. Is this it? Is this the vehicle? Is it a loaf? I think I've settled on a name for this vehicle. I'm calling it a Christmas loaf.
Why is it a Christmas loaf?
Because I was going to call it a winter loaf, but it's a Christmas loaf.
I'm back. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
You're just discussing Christmas?
Yeah, it's a Christmas loaf. Look at that thing. It's like raisins in it, you know?
It looks fun.
But anyways, I think that's what this vehicle is, dude. I think. Look how like goofy it drives around.
Yeah, it moves really weird.
It's so goofy and bouncy for no reason. And it's so tiny. That's the thing, is it's so tiny.
We should see how many people are jumping out of it.
It's only one.
If it's more than 65 people, it must be a loaf.
Look, when he jumps out, he's like stepping quite far down.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think that's the proof, because any other tracked vehicle that we've seen before, they don't have the doors that tall up.
But is he jumping out from the inside, or is he jumping from the top? He might be jumping from the top.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a BTRD. I might have to take out some measuring tools and compare it. But look how tiny this vehicle is. It's so small. Like this is I don't even know what this is, like a BMP or something. So this would be, how long is a BMP? Like 5 meters or something? I don't know, but this is a lot smaller. This looks like it's like if this is like 5 or 6 meters, this looks like it's like 4. I feel like that's like the size of a loaf.
It's the poor man's bandwagon.
I thought it was a bandwagon when I saw it.
The thing is that you cannot drive it without the back wagon. It's that's where it actually drives with the it doesn't steer with the tracks. It's hydraulic steering between the two huts.
Look at that thing. Look, it even has like this like black thing in the front, like that, you know? Anyways,
Does it have a tent on? Yeah, it has some sort of cope thing.
some sort of cope. Exactly.
It's some sort of aluminum hat against
Yes.
conspiracies.
But just think about this. If this is in fact a loaf, and I kind of think it is, like I'm at like 52%. Okay, I'm not like super confident, but I'm at like 50. Imagine assaulting a position in a loaf. This is not like a logistics. They're not like bringing up ammo. It's not like a medevac. They're like driving up to the front line in a loaf. Really funny. I mean, maybe it's a BTRD. I'm not sure how big a BTRD is.
But also, they are attacking that forest. They are stopping, however, not at the forest. So they jump out of whatever that is, and they still walk something like 200 meters on foot to get to the forest.
Dude, there's
Which doesn't-
no way. There's no way this could be a BTRD or a BMD. Dude, a BTRD is like 6 meters long, and a BMD is like almost 8. Dude, there's no way. This has to be a loaf.
I have no clue. People should fight it out on Twitter.
It's gotta be a loaf, dude. It's gotta be. What's its length? Its length is 4 meters. Dude, it's gotta be. Look at it. Look at that thing. Gotta be. It's gotta be. Like this is like 4 meters though. Like it.
But
Like, it's
but
like-
it looks like there's some sort of gap between the top of the vehicle and the cope cage.
But if this vehicle over here is like 7 meters, because that's like the length of like a BMD apparently is like 7 meters. This is like 4 meters though. It's like 2/3 the size. It's got to be a loaf. What else would it be? It's a tracked loaf.
Unless that vehicle on the left isn't a BMP or anything like that. But because if I look at it like that, and I didn't see that before, it kind of looks like an ambulance.
I mean, maybe it could be a BTR, but I think a BTR is like the same length. BTR, yeah, they're all like all the vehicles are like the same length though. It's like the BTR, the BMD, the BMP. They're all like roughly the same size.
I don't know. Anyway, what's the importance of the video?
Yeah. Oh, they're assaulting a forest. That is apparently in Ukrainian control. I'm not sure exactly what is in Ukrainian control. Like I feel confident saying the forest part is, although this is kind of like the foothill part because this is keep in mind that like this kind of ring. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Let me go back to this. Okay, so this kind of ring up here is the high ground, and everything below it is the low ground. Okay, and like this kind of darker green part is like a stream that leads into this like pond or whatever. So this is low ground, and this is high ground. And so this is kind of like in the middle of the hill, kind of. And this is an old road. I think this is a cemetery, and that this is like an old road that goes down to town over here. So yeah, Russia is assaulting with a tract loaf, a Christmas loaf, if you will.
Yeah, and this is in fact the road of life, as someone has just asked, or was the road of life.
Yeah, this was up here.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean we see that the weather in that footage was very snowy. I don't think it's that snowy right now. I'm not sure. Maybe Konstantin, do you know what's the weather the last 2 days?
There's a heat wave, baby.
I shared the video from today, so you
Yeah.
can. That's today, like a couple of.
But that was snow, if I remember correctly.
Yep, it was snow.
There's a heat wave coming.
Yeah. So yeah, it must have snowed in the last couple of days again. I know it was more or less clear, but yeah, there must be snow again. So could be from the last 2 days then.
Let me see if I can find some weather. I need to just bookmark the weather thing. Whatever. I don't feel like doing it right now, but I need to bookmark it.
Yeah.
Anyways, Ivanivska. They say that Russia was halted about 500 meters from the town. I'm not sure where the town starts. It'll start like here. I don't know. I don't know what 500 meters from the town means. Maybe they're closer to town than we have mark. Well, it's about 500. Whatever, close enough. But anyways, they're saying that they've been halted about 500 meters from the town. They've made no progress since. They are attacking Klashivka, especially this kind of eastern part where we saw a Russian assault here. Do you think they captured it?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I left it a gray area because of that. And there's this shelling to the south. I feel like half of the internet is convinced that this is like a like the Russians have captured this north and Ukraine has captured the south and is becoming this like yin yang type shape. I don't think that's true. I think it's just all a gray area.
Yeah. What I learned, however, is that Ukraine was a lot further than I thought before.
Yeah.
In that area.
Okay, so moving on south, we had a flag. What do you think of this flag?
Yeah. Flags.
Yeah,
you know, there were times where every flag made me happy, but by now
now flags mean nothing.
Now flags mean nothing because we know that drones can set them. In this case, we know that Ukrainian infantry was there.
Yeah, we had the video. Their infantry for sure.
But this place, it's so confusing because on the same day, both Telegram sites, or both sites, attacked the same site with drones.
I think they were. Don't you think it was the same video though, just edited?
I think some parts were similar, and there were some angles of the drone which were similar. It might have been that the Russian side used parts of a Ukrainian video there. It might also be that, you know, maybe it was sent some parts to release, you know. But nevertheless, even if you exclude that one footage, it still is that, you know, every other day one side attacks that with drones.
Yep. I at one point I was very optimistically marking this as Ukraine. I was like, never mind, because we had the video of Ukraine assaulting it, and they pushed like pretty far. They pushed up here, and they were like shelling over there. Like it looked pretty promising. This was probably when they hung the flag, by the way. And then we had no news for a while. And I was like, okay. And then we had video of them hitting the Ukrainians with drones again. I was like, why not? We had 2 videos in a row, nothing in between, so like marked it. And then And then I just got crazy since that. I was like, okay, so it's just everyone is attacking. Now there's flags. Everything's yeah. So I don't know, dude. One thing of note is that this is an area that Russia controlled prior to 2022. So there's that. Very confusing area. Very confusing.
Yeah, but actually, it's a decent trench system or a decent position. So being in control of that is actually not too bad.
Yeah, and then the trench goes all the way to our Horlivka. What do you think, Konstantin? Do you think they're going to attack the city? Do you think they're going to use this trench? It's the trench they needed, right? There's no Konstantin.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just I wasn't looking at the stream, so
This because Ukraine is attacking this trench. This trench is continuously runs from this position all the way into the city. I'm just saying. It goes directly into the city.
So basically, that's Ukraine's pipe.
Yeah, this is the pipe they need. Once they get that, they could just pump through all their infantry straight into the city. You know? Speaking
Just
of
like
pipes,
monkey breach it, like no problem at all.
no problem. Speaking of pipes, there was an assassination in Nikopol the other day. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday, right? There's an assassination in Nikopol. The deputy mayor was killed, and nobody can really explain how or why. I saw, like, all of the explanations I saw of this was that he was shot, that he was shot by somebody, but nobody could figure out who. And people were freaking out. Like, people were genuinely freaking out. A lot of people were talking that Russia had dug a tunnel under the reservoir, and that they have direct access to the city of Nikopol. But that seems bizarre. Anyways, the mayor of Nikopol came out late last night, early this morning, claiming that there is in fact no tunnel into the city, and that nobody has any clue how this guy was assassinated. So I just wanted to bring up some tunnel news.
Okay. Now it's the elephant in the room.
You'd like to talk about that, the Shaheeds?
Oh, actually, no. Well, we can talk about that. Yeah, maybe just as a quick note. Yeah, it was also noted in chat, and yeah, apparently there was some large-scale Shahid attack in Kharkiv, and at least on Russian Telegram, you can see some major fires in Kharkiv, but no clue what was hit or what is burning. But it does look very bad.
I'm going to just briefly look at our Kharkiv news just to see if they've got something that they said. So it says that they attacked Kharkiv and Veliki Berluk with Shaheeds. Kharkiv was in this district I don't know how to pronounce, but I'm going to just copy and paste it into the map.
Nemysliansky.
Yeah, and I'm gonna take the coordinates and put them on the other map. Oops. So roughly this part of the city. So that part of the city was hit, and they hit a cafe in the other one, a very important cafe that serves coffee to the highest ranking NATO generals. Right here. You know? But that's all I know. We have a video.
Mhm.
Should I show the video?
If you want, yeah. I think it's blurred, so
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, we know that. I mean, I was just checking the district, and it does have a lot of industrial area. So it could be that they found a fuel depot or something like that in that area. But yeah, let's see and wait for what we learn. Let's
Okay,
talk Avdiivka because
so-
that's equally annoying.
Avdiivka. They have apparently taken this bridge, this rail. There's a bridge over the rail. Is that the right way of saying it, or is it a? They've taken this bridge, which is at the end of the strait that I forget the name of. Sorobova. Is that the name? Whatever. At the end of this strait, they've taken the bridge. This bridge, just super dangerous, dude. It's not a good situation. This intersection here is the only paved road into the city. And they are very close to it. And they're trying to split the city in half, basically, so that the southern side would have to rely on this single dirt road, and this northern side would have to rely on this single dirt road, neither of which would be ideal. The northern side being the coke plant. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know what else to say.
There were rumors today that Russia actually pushed into the coke plant and also pushed into the bus depot, which is, I think, on the other side of the rail bridge there. However, apparently those rumors are at least, the Russian brigades, they put out a statement that it wasn't true. And to be honest, if they put a statement that it isn't true, it makes me believe that it might actually be true. So anyway, those rumors are out there. What we see is bad enough. The confirmation that they are at the rail bridge and have potentially taken the rail bridge, or at least, that's where the current stalemate is, means that the residential area on the other side, in my opinion, I don't see how Ukraine can hold that or can get it back. Because I don't know, Andrew, did you ever have mice in your walls?
Oh yeah, I lived in a house that was like 300 years old. Yeah, we had some 300-year-old mice in those walls.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it's the same here. They reproduce faster than you can get rid of them. They're gonna be in every hole they can find. They're doing exactly that, or what they did with Bakhmut and with Wagner at that time. In my opinion, they're now stuffing every meat they have into every basement, into every living room. They're gonna, whoever is still there, they're gonna push them out of there or arrest them or lock them in the basements, whatever. They're gonna occupy each house, and Ukraine simply doesn't have the manpower to get that area back. They need to flatten the area, to be honest, if they want to get it back. In my opinion, it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. Yeah. And at the beginning of this offensive, I went on a bit of a rant about how, or the beginning of the Russian offensive, I went on a bit of a rant about how this offensive that Russia is doing is the direct consequence of the offensive that Ukraine did. And I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a fact. Okay, even if Ukraine's offensive was 100% successful and they did everything they wanted to do, this would have been the response. So if Ukraine wanted to capture, Tokmak and Melitopol, and they wanted to capture this whole area and get the Crimea by winter, etc., whatever. Even if all of that went exactly according to plan, if everything happened exactly how they wanted it to, Russia would have launched this offensive and done all of this. This had to be part of the calculus in Ukraine launching their offensive. And if this wasn't part of the calculus, that's very worrying. because it's obvious. It was obvious to anyone who was paying attention that this is what would have happened, and Ukraine, in my mind, they gave up Avdiivka when they launched that offensive, and that's not a criticism of the offensive. It's just Ukraine would culminate at some point, and then Russia would have their turn. This isn't like Ukraine gets everything they want and Russia doesn't respond, you know? So Russia capturing Avdiivka, I don't know how to interpret this as anything other than this was part of the Ukrainian plan, whether they liked it or not. And obviously they don't like it. Nobody wants to lose Avdiivka, but this is just the reality. Russia is not going to just roll up and go home. Like, at least not that easily. Not yet, anyway. Maybe in the future they will, but not yet. And that's. I went on this rant in October, and I still think it's true.
Yeah, and in terms of what's going to happen next, in terms of, there were rumors that Zelensky wanted to retreat, which, in my opinion, might not be, or might not have been the stupidest idea. But in terms of what we see today, 31st Brigade released a video of them or their drones operating in Avdiivka. As far as I know, 31st Brigade before was operating around Marinka. So at least from that, it might appear that Ukraine is committing additional resources into that battle right now. Now, of course, it's only drones, and we don't know how engaged they will be in Avdiivka for real. If the mechanized forces will be engaging there as well, but that's some piece of the puzzle right now that I observed today that might be interesting for the future, or for the situation to develop here.
Didn't Zelensky also visit Bakhmut in like the weeks before?
Yep,
They kind of had their last stance, like he did.
he did.
In Avdiivka a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's not Romanov. Let's not compare him to Romanov.
No. I didn't intend to, but
Who's the other one?
Don't shake. Don't. What, Butisov?
Yeah, they call him like the portent of bad news or something. Like, it's like every time he visits a city, Ukraine loses it like immediately afterwards.
I don't know. I just don't want to take that joke away from Romanov.
Anyways, man, I just don't know what to say, dude. It's not a good situation. I'm still not sure exactly how this all happened. I kind of think I know how it happened, but I'm not entirely sure. We saw this huge attack. We talked about it on the stream. It wasn't there. Where was it? I'm lost.
Oh, it was there. It was coming south from Vesela. Yeah.
Yeah. So we had this huge attack. Yeah, it was right here. So we had this huge attack where they came down here, and Ukraine hyped up this attack. They're like, man, you can't wait to see all these videos that we made of this attack. And then they never showed any videos, dude. They never showed any videos. I think that attack was a success. I think that's the issue. Because we saw this huge tank column come down, and we watched it come. Well, we watched it come from like over here, and it drove all the way across, and then got to here. Like it crossed this bridge thing, and it came down here. And the video stops when the vehicles got right here. But in the vehicles, because this happened in the snow, so we know that the tracks kept going and like turned this way. So in the assault, did they just push all the way down and capture this whole area and then just move west? Because I kind of think that's what happened. The other option is that they pushed all the way down these dachas. which is also, I mean, that's a completely reasonable thing to assume. But it's just this video, dude. It keeps. You just keep thinking about it. The tracks just kept going south. Like we saw, like you could see so clearly in the video that the tracks kept going. And where did those tracks go? Who was in those tracks? What wave of the attack was that? It was not the first wave. We know it wasn't the first wave. First, because we know vehicles kept going south, and second, because there are like vehicles like driving across the field this way. Remember, like there are like BMPs like driving. Was this like the third wave? And how successful were the first two? How come we never even learned about those other waves? Like this whole thing, like it's all very sketchy to me. I think this whole area collapsed, and we never learned about it until they basically reached the city. I think that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, it might be. It might also be that they went through the residential area there to make those tree lines collapse.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah, but it doesn't
also-
really matter. Once they're in the city, you know, they will use everything they have, including canalization. Is it canalization? How do you say it? Like below ground, where the water goes.
I don't know where you're asking me
They,
for.
they sewers.
Oh,
Yeah,
sewer.
they will use the sewers. They will use everything they can. Once they're in there, it's a pest.
Yeah, we all knew. We all knew. Once you're in the city, it's over. I really thought that they would get into the city this way. I'm actually shocked they never did. This is genuinely surprising how good of a defense Ukraine put up here. But we knew there's too many ways into the city. There's just too many. You couldn't defend them all. If Ukraine was serious about defending Avdiivka, they had to take back Krasnohorivka, and when they decided not to do that, the city was given up. They gave it up. They're not giving it up for free. They're fighting, like they're defending it, but they gave it up, and you just need to accept that was part of the plan, for better or worse. This was the Ukrainian plan. What I don't get is, if this was your plan, and this isn't like a decision they made a week ago. This is a decision they made at least a year ago. At least. Why didn't they build defensive lines behind the city? What? Why didn't they? That's the part I don't get.
Let's talk about what's next.
Okay.
So if you could, if you would be commanding this, what would you do? And the other question, what do you actually predict for Avdiivka?
Oh, are we still in Avdiivka? Okay. If I were commanding the Ukrainians, or if I were commanding the Russians?
Yeah, the Ukrainians, of course.
Oh, if I were, I would withdraw from the city. That's what I would do. I would have withdrawn like 2 weeks ago. As soon as they like breached this area, I would withdraw, because it's impossible. This whole area to begin with, like the area northeast of the city, was always the weakest part for Ukraine. It's just logically, like like you don't have to be a genius to know that. As this area northeast was the weakest part for Ukraine, and also this area directly to the east is similarly weak. I think if this attack on the northeast failed, they would have just gone this way. But this one worked, obviously. So,
and where would you retreat to?
I would withdraw from the southern part and defend like here. So I would keep the coke plant and defend like that. That's what I would do.
Yeah, but the coke plant would basically be infiltrated from all sides, and
That'd be fine.
airstrikes would.
That'd be fine.
I don't know.
You're gonna be attacked and airstriked no matter where you go. So it's like, yeah. I mean, if you don't have Like if you're willing to sacrifice the southern part, I think you can hold the coke plant for a few weeks while you build up these lines. Maybe not for a few weeks, at least a week, and then while you build up these lines, and you can use the coke plant to kind of guard you as you're withdrawing. I think I feel like if you don't withdraw from the southern part real soon, it's gonna get very bad. It's gonna get real ugly. The worst thing that could happen is getting cut in half.
And what do you really expect them to do?
Man, I expect them to fight to the last man, buddy. Unfortunately, that's kind of what I expect at this point.
Yeah.
I
But
think it's the stupidest possible decision.
yeah. So you're gonna grind down the offensive by putting your own meat on the line.
See,
I mean, we will see.
Ukraine has strengths in what they're good at. And what they're good at is stopping vehicles from crossing big areas. That's like Ukraine's strong suit. What Russia is good at is urban combat. So this is like you're giving Russia all their strengths and you're taking away all of your strengths. What Ukraine needs to do is just constantly stay at a distance and just destroy the vehicles as they come to them, and eventually Russia will run out of vehicles. We see this kind of going on around Novomykhailivka, where see now Russia's getting to the town itself, and they're probably going to capture the town, I imagine. But getting here was so costly for Russia, it's crazy.
But when you say that Russia's better at urban combat, do I understand that correctly? That what you mean by that is that A, Russia is able to flatten an area because they have the ammo for it. B, Russia is able to, put whatever amounts of people there to die. And C, Russia does have enough people inside Russia or in the military which are so desperate for money that they actually want to serve that purpose. Is that what makes them better at urban combat?
Yeah, it's just their strengths all kind of combine to be better at it, because they have the air power, they have the artillery advantage, and they have the manpower advantage. And in urban combat, all those things are very, very important. Whereas in a wide open field, your manpower advantage isn't that big because you have to move so far that you're going to take the casualties. You have time to take them out. You can use snipers, you can use tanks, you can use drones, you could use all sorts of different weapons that Ukraine has in their disposal to slow down that long, ground assault. And Ukraine is really good at taking out vehicles.
Because precision matters more if you're in the open field, in my opinion.
And the weight of numbers don't matter as much. It still matters. Like Russia has the numbers to keep pushing through these fields, but they do it with huge casualties, and Ukraine can minimize their casualties in that sort of situation where they can slowly withdraw while dealing very significant damage until you get to a town where the power dynamics kind of shift, where all of the advantage goes to Russia in the town. So Ukraine can't fight for towns. That's kind of the end. That's kind of my lesson is Ukraine cannot fight for towns. It's not in their favor. You might want to you want to defend the town a little bit because you might be able to push Russia out of the town and make them assault across the field to get back in. And we saw that in Novomykhailivka, where they, Russia kind of assaulted in and they got footholds, and then Ukraine kicked them back out, and now Russia has to assault back in, and they may have gotten some footholds again, and maybe they'll lose the footholds again, and you can do that back and forth. But once they're in the town, you just withdraw. It's not worth it, dude.
Yeah, before going to Novomikhailivka, I think Marinka and the Horivka area had a change.
Yeah, I kind of chickened out on making change, to be honest.
Okay, but anyway,
So-
yesterday there was a drone attacking Russian soldiers pretty far
Oh yeah,
from where we hoped they were. Oh no, not that one.
okay.
The Ukrainian drone, wasn't it yesterday? Or was it the day before? You didn't have a stream. Oh, it was on 7th. Okay, that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, this is,
Not optimal.
from what I understand, this attack was a failure. That's what I understand from it. That's why I kept it as a gray area, because from the descriptions that I got of this attack, Russia like YOLO'd and got destroyed. I'm not sure what is in between. Like maybe Russia controls up to here or up to there. I'm not really sure. That's why I kept it as a gray area. Like if you want to call it Russian, like all this area Russian controlled, I'm not gonna like debate you on it, because it could very well be. But from what I have heard, this was kind of like they tried to push all the way down the road and capture like these positions before getting the ones in front of them, like, and then it failed. That's what I've heard. But I don't know, dude.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
No, I don't disagree. It's just always, I hate seeing Russians, at a place where I don't want them to be.
Yeah.
And that is in Ukraine, to be fair, but, it's even worse if they're in a place which, I look up and it's still blue.
Yeah. Anyways, so we have Novomikhailivka, which is honestly the last town I had in my little notes. My notes were like 5 sentences, but this is the last town in my notes. Russia has recently entered the town, although all the looking at the video made me think that they didn't actually capture anything, because the video is not very convincing.
Yeah.
And all the Ukrainian reports since then have been that they didn't get a foothold. Although,
yeah, it's very likely. I mean, we see, and if you go back one more day, yeah, exactly. Those vehicles, they are actually related to that attack. So you can see 2 columns basically approaching Novomikhailivka. They bogged down. I don't know what stopped them, if it was mines or what it was. Anyway, they bogged down, and the infantry covered the rest on foot. And you can see that already not all too many Russian soldiers made the way into Novomikhailivka, and they just tried to grab onto whatever they could find, any house or trench. But and also, this must be said, that the video was released by the Russians, so they would want to show their success. And the video cuts with, I don't know, something like maybe 20 Russian soldiers making it into Novomikhailivka. So there wasn't anything coming after that. And it really does not look like, any of them would be capable of biting out a part of Novomikhailivka in that area, at least not with 20 dudes.
no.
So, and today there was a video, War Translated. I know that he made subtitles in English about exactly that Russian brigade, which is, by the way, the 155th, which is already, which is famous for their successes around Vuhledar.
Yeah,
Now, yeah, I don't know what their real plan is. Maybe it is to I don't know, make a scrapyard out of the southern Donetsk region. But yeah, that video and the translation, it makes sense to be in relation to that attack on the 7th. they talk about how 2 days ago, which is the 7th, they were sent into those meat waves, that they did have blocking squads, that the wounded couldn't even get back, and that no one was able to retreat, even though they had no chances of success. That they were ordered basically to do exactly that, to die. That they were, if they would gain a foothold, they were told that they would not get resupplied and have ammo, so they would need to be, observing their ammo. So it's not entirely clear what the purpose of those assaults is. As long as they don't, put the same efforts in as in Avdiivka with enough manpower, biting a significant portion out of Novomikhailivka, I don't think the town is too much at risk. If they keep doing it like that, it's just, that's the perfect way of, doing it for Ukraine. They're just going to be slowly attrited with no huge losses on the Ukrainian side, in my opinion.
The big risk is these northern attacks. If Russia can break through, and there are a whole bunch of rumors today that I think were completely false, but I guess I don't know. Maybe there will be more evidence. They claim that Russia broke through here. I don't think so, but maybe. Yeah, I haven't seen anything. Did you see anything?
No, not yet.
No, I think it was all from BS accounts that post almost all complete falsehoods, but every once in a while they're right. So, but yeah, this northern part is very important to holding the town, because once you're surrounded on all sides, it's going to be a little bit harder to defend. So this northern part is super critical. This is all very well defended territory. You wouldn't expect big breakthroughs. Unfortunately, Ukraine had to withdraw from these more extreme areas because they got surrounded. But now this line is not. I mean, it's all straight lines. It's all happy. Anyways, they also tried to go west towards Vodiana, and that was all spectacular failures with huge columns of vehicles destroyed, etc.
Yeah.
Recently, we had some footage of Ukrainian shelling this position right here. I marked it all as a gray area. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I did because the shelling confused me. I don't know if you want to talk about this. We had the video concluded with Russians running home across a field.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect conclusion. I mean, I'm not convinced it's Ukrainian controlled in that sense, but I don't think it's Russian controlled either. I think it's gray zone is probably the best way to describe it.
Yep. We have no real news around Prutny, etc., etc.
One thing to say about Prutny is that there are several videos by the Russians which claim that it's assaults in the Prutny area. There's also a lot of footage of, Russian drones operating in Prutny, but a lot of that happens during night and with barely any visible details, so it's hard to geolocate that. So the area might be subject to change, once the videos come out with more details visible.
I will say one thing. I know you haven't done much of the night drone footage in this area, but I've watched a bunch of it when you were watching other videos. So I think I can recognize places that you might not be able to, and in some of those videos I do kind of recognize them, but there are some tree lines in this little forest strip right here and here that, like, when I see a tree, I'm like, I know where that tree is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, then go watch it. Maybe we need to update the map, because there were some videos from that area, and it's just a bit hard to geolocate that.
Yeah, it's just like these trees. I know the paths on these trees because I've geolocated so many videos of their nighttime drone videos right here, and I know kind of the layout of these ponds. It's when you get north of these ponds, I don't know what's going on. It's all very confusing to me. Yeah, and there's like occasionally go through and add those nighttime videos. But anyways, we can get to Rabatana. There was this little Russian assault here. I don't really have anything to say about it.
Yeah, me neither. I have no clue what's the outcome of it.
It looks like it failed. This is I believe this is a T-72 B3M. Didn't make it. I don't know how it was disabled, to be honest. I think it fell in a hole, or maybe it got hit by a mine. Maybe that's the mine. Maybe that hole is the mine. Anyways, so there's that, and there's I don't think we have to update the map here, but I know some people have been updating their map around the Pyatkatki area and around Kamyanska. But I think we were kind of ahead of the curve on this area because we'd been finding a bunch of footage that other people were just ignoring for some reason. I don't really get it, but I feel like our map is pretty accurate in this area, even though other people very strongly disagree. I think we kind of nailed it. I don't know. And there's one last thing in Krinky where it seems now confirmed that where we once had two Ukrainian footholds, they've since merged into one big foothold. Although we don't know exactly the full extent of everything. This, you might ask yourself, why here? Why is this red? Is because we had a video, actually a long time ago, of Russia controlling these buildings, and they might not control them anymore, but I've not seen evidence that they lost them, so I kept it red. But yeah, I don't know. Is that all the news?
I think it's very interesting that they kept this area. It's nothing left, right? Like all the buildings.
Well, this new area, there's stuff here. It's not destroyed yet. It will be soon, but there's some buildings and stuff. You know, this original area that's gone, but this new area, oh boy, there's buildings. Some of them. Some of them even have roofs.
It's like Russia, if they want Ukraine to just embed themselves, they bomb everything. So they make sure Ukraine is gonna keep on to it.
To be fair, Russia, no matter what the purpose, they will bomb everything. If it's offensive, they will bomb everything. If it's defensive, they will bomb everything. It's like they will bomb everything. That's like they don't need a reason. They will just bomb everything.
But I think the reason why Ukraine is still there is because they're so successful in taking out vehicles in this area.
Yeah, of course, and the Russians are so successful in deciding on sending more of them the same way.
Yeah, it's like twofold. It's both worth it because they can take out so many vehicles that are priceless, and then of course, that helps the whole tactical situation that you're actually able to take out vehicles so consistently. But it probably has more to do with the type of units and the drone teams that are there than anything else, I guess.
Yeah, Ukraine has some of their best drone units there.
Yeah.
There's one last thing I kind of wanted to touch on, and there's been a lot of kind of more uplifting news coming out of Ukraine every once in a while. And I try to put some of it on the map just to have like something other than terrible news on the map. And for example, this school in Kherson has been more or less rebuilt. It's the school right here. So that is a positive news, and you can come here and read about that. And there's a walkthrough of this school. I've been putting demining news on the map. There's actually been a lot of mining related or demining related news recently. Ukraine's been publishing a ton of information on demining operations. Like the other day, I don't remember what day it was. Oh, here. Like a bunch of bombs landed in this town, and I think only one of them detonated, and the sappers went through and took out the rest, and just things like that. So I've been these little exclamation points. Some of them have good news, so if you want to look at the good news every once in a while, like here was a miners putting up their like tape around the areas that they were checking, and all these guys are just going through, getting rid of the mines in this area. And this was about a story about 5,000 hectares were demined, and I believe they were handed over to the farmers to cultivate in the coming spring.
Did you see that German deminer where they attached some strange equipment?
No. I don't know what you mean by strange equipment.
It was one of those civilian-based vehicles. They're doing a lot of interesting things with demining, actually.
I think a few things towards the end of the stream. One thing is that someone asked if you could show a weather forecast for the next couple of days. I know that David Helms, he had posted today. I put it in Discord if you just want to open his Twitter post about the weather forecast. You already mentioned it earlier with the heat wave coming. He also talks about that, I think.
Here we go.
That's February 2nd. Should be further down then.
Here we go. Yep. So here's the weather. It's going to be warm, rather warm. 15 Celsius. I've heard even it may be even hotter than that on Sunday. I've heard it could go up to 17. So yeah, it's getting a little heat wave action. It's gonna be nice and warm.
And it's gonna be rainy over the weekend, so that's gonna be mud.
Yep. Well, it depends. It depends on how it rains. If there's a lot of rain, there will be mud. If there's not that much rain, like if it just rains a bit, like if it rains everywhere a little bit, I think it'll be fine. It depends on how it rains.
Okay. And then I don't know, did you see Chabuti's post?
No.
He sent something which is really interesting, and I had to smile.
Oh, this? Yeah, this was really funny. They found that the T-55 that was abandoned because it hit a landmine is the same T-55 that attacked when I was in Hungary in what year is that? 1956. Dude, that's funny. That's funny.
That's wild.
It's really funny.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That should be preserved and put into a museum, like attacked independent European countries twice.
You know, if it wasn't for Orban, you would want to send that one to Hungary as a memorial and, you know, as a statement, but let's wait for the after Orban Hungary, I guess.
I mean, maybe they can give it to him when he visits Zelensky soon.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and then Andrew, because rarely anything makes me laugh so much as the scalp video this week. Probably, I mean, it's almost a week old now, but you didn't have a stream. But that's, I don't know, that might have been the video of the week for me. Do you know which one I mean?
No.
So, so this week, S400 or S300 operators were filming how Storm Shadow or Scalbeachy missiles were flying over their air defense battery, and it's just
That. Yeah,
most,
yeah.
it's just the most ironic thing to happen. Oh gosh. I really felt like that was the video of the week, and I just thought that would be a nice closure if you wanted to be the closure.
I don't have it like on hand. To be honest.
Oh, okay, I will have it in a second.
But while he looks for it, what do you think about Josep Borrell, Andrew?
Oh, he's posting photographs of the FPV factory.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, just post on like the day after a massive missile strike. Just post the images of the factory.
But it's very good news though, because I don't see any public announcement yet, but I know for sure that there's a lot of money coming into drone production. So that's really good news. And this was his public appearance on the facility was of course because of the money that is being poured into drones.
Dude, I hope we just have so many drones. That's what we need. There's millions of them.
Well, actually, like, since Daniela has been doing all this research, that's the video. That's amazing.
Here, I'm gonna try to actually play the video with sound, which is hard for me. Okay.
You should play it slow motion.
You want it slow motion. In order for me to make this work, I have to backdoor my way into the video plugin, and it doesn't always work. So I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it the old college try. Oh god. Could you hear that?
No,
Okay.
we didn't hear anything on Discord at least. Might be on YouTube though.
Oh god. I just closed all my windows by accident. Okay. Let's try this again. I really need to fix this plugin. I just use it so rarely that I never get around to fixing it. Okay, so give me a second. Where'd it go? Okay. There we go. Let's see. See if it works. It didn't work. I'll try it again. Here, I'll try to fix it.
But I don't know what it tells about your air defense battery. If the cruise missiles are flying over your head and you're running for your life because you think that you're the target. This is... I mean... I'm digging this video, really. I'm digging it. This is just so perfect. Like they shoot down, I don't know, 30 missiles every day, they claim, and you just see them watching them pass by. It's just wonderful.
There we go. I hope that all worked. I hope people saw it. I don't know. I tried. I tried to make it work.
Yeah.
The plugin said it was giving audio, but I don't know if anyone actually heard it.
I think one more outstanding video was the capture of the Orlan by a ground drone. That was also really funny. So we did actually see some uplifting and funny videos this week.
Yeah. We saw a track to Buhanka. I mean, yeah, at least we know what air defense is doing.
Yeah, we know that. Okay, apparently YouTube did have audio. Okay, yeah. That's awesome. That's
cool.
But one thing I want to say about drones, like, we like to see that Ukraine is investing in drones, and that the EU is helping out and everything. And I think, was it Slovakia that announced that they're going to fund some drones as well? Or was it Czech? No, not Slovakia. Czechia, I think. But it is worrying to see that even though Ukrainians are probably doing a bit better, the Russians are also increasing their use and production. It's really worrying for me.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're not going to get back into negative topics.
No. But I just want to say, like, it's actually for warfare as a whole, it's like it's a worrying thing.
Yeah, and for Andrew and me personally, it's gonna be horror.
Oh yeah. Well, I think you're gonna see so many more of those compilations.
Yeah, I can't, like, every time I see a video and it's longer than 1 minute and I know it's a drone unit, I already regret my life.
I hate when they're like 3 minutes long with 2 seconds. Remember that clip, that one video that had like 100? Remember that? I remember it because you know why? Because I'm the one who had to break it down. Like 100 clips.
Yeah.
Well, we need to ask Daniele if he can find like an assistant for him that can do more breakdowns.
Yeah, I can also tell you that 65th Drone Squad released an 8-minute video today. I marked it in a spreadsheet as 8 minutes. Cool, but I didn't start breaking it down.
Yeah.
Just as a warning.
Yeah, there was a drone video yesterday that I didn't feel like breaking down. I saw it, I opened it, and it was like 5 minutes long, and I watched the first 30 seconds, and there were like 10 clips, and I was like, I'm not doing it. It's so many.
Yeah.
We'll make Daniela do it at some point.
Yeah, but I mean, it helps me, if it's broken down, it helps me already with geolocating, because I can exclude some certain sections which only show a trench from close up. But yeah, anyone interested in helping, now is your time to shine.
Yeah, we could use geolocators, or just people who break down videos. And by break down the video, what we mean is that you watch the video and you mark down the timestamp for every single clip in the video, and we have like a system for putting a very brief description, usually 1 word description of what happens in that clip. And you just do that for the whole video. You just put out the timestamps for everything that happens, and like a 1 word description of what it was. Yep. Do that for every video. like all 200 of them every day.
Did you show the front page of The Economist earlier?
No, I did not.
I think you should.
I guess
That's a happy note.
I guess we'll end on that.
Yeah, and I want to note that, like, every Ukrainian Telegram, the unit Telegrams, particularly, of course, the drone squads, they were exceptionally proud of that article. All of them basically were posting that image, and were really proud that they basically invented this. Of course, like, in the future, I will be saying that this was the worst idea ever, because I think anyone can build those drones in the future at some point, and we need to find ways to control that. But for this war, of course, now Ukraine did something exceptionally.
Yep. And yeah, it's interesting as well that the author of the article was talking to Daniela a lot during when he was writing and doing the research, and gave her credit, which they don't always do, both to Andrew and Daniela.
Not Gick, though. Gick gets no credit.
Yeah, I don't get credit.
It's a beautiful it's like The Economist front page. I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for coming, everybody. Sorry the stream was long, but to be fair, this was like 3 streams at once, so There you go. Anyway, thank you for coming, Gick and Erland, and everybody who listened, and Constantine, if he's still here. Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.